Do-do, do-do, do-do. I'm going to try to make it so people can see me a little bit better. That works so much better. Okay, maybe that's wow. Still a little bit glaring on my glasses. That's better. Kind of doubt it. So I'm just sort of trying this out for the first time. Who knows what will happen. Well, tell you what will happen. Fiona is going to translate shit. So if you want something translated, just ask me, and I will show you how I do it. So, hello, Grace. But you're watching on silence, so. So I'm working on a poem translation. It's actually more like a song. I was working on it at the convention, but at the convention I got really, really sick and sort of stopped in the middle. So I only got about halfway done. So I'm going to find the original text. I think I have it around here somewhere. Maybe. Oh, did I throw it away? Okay. Here at the end of all things. I know what poem that is. Okay. So when I'm translating, first off, I have a lot of vocabulary memorized, so that makes it a little bit easier. But if I need to look stuff up, I have this as a visual for you. I have the 3 best Sindarin dictionaries printed out here. So I use a combination of Hisueloke, Parma Eldolambron number 17 by David Gerdo, and Parvi Feast by Helge Favsganger. So, yeah, but I'm not going to need to use this, not for that particular translation here at the end of all things. So, the word for here is see. So, see. And the word for at is not, and it loses. Well, there's actually several words for at, but Na is a good one. So I'm going to use na. Si, na. And then the word for the singular the is e. Si, na, e. And then the word for end is meth, but we have to mutate it, so it's veth. So na, e, veth. The genitive is just done by word order. So all things, of all things would just be and all things. Pretty easy, so I don't need to worry about of. And then we would need the word for thing, which is nad. Then all is a suffix, usually, and it's oth. So here at the end of all things, si naiveth nadath. Ta-da! Usually when I'm translating, I'm not speaking out loud. I'm just, writing either by hand or typing. So my productive skills are mostly nonverbal. But I can pronounce words. It is possible. Okay, I'm going to go find that. Oh, Hillis, thank you so much. I urgently had seen a mess night by. Glad I could help. Tell your friends. Oh, I am doing a Kickstarter campaign. I should post that. Control C. The Kickstarter campaign is for free Sindarin lessons on my offshoot website, the Real Elvish Academy. Okay, yes, and I will find that poem so I can finish the translation. And I don't know what happened to the sheet I had printed out for helping me translate, which is a pity. I'll just print it out again, and that should work. Let's see here. This would be in the email which gets all the requests. Okay. And I can't see if anyone's trying to talk to me. I'll just be really down on myself and think that nobody is. And then think that I'm just talking to myself, which is fun. And I like doing that. Print. Yes, I am just talking to myself. No, I actually have to print instantly. It has to actually. Here we go. I'm home, miss. It's all right. It's a little song. And I finished like the first 2 stanzas, I think, in translating this particular poem. Translating poetry is a lot harder than translating like simple like one-off phrases. Okay, Grace has a question about when to use the suffix oth versus the adjective pan. So oth is a collective plural. It means all of the things ever. So like I think I have it marked in here. Many cartoons. Nope. Okay, that doesn't matter. This is my copy of Lord of the Rings, by the way, and it really is like duct taped and worn out, like to a super degree. So oth is for the collective plural. The word pan is comes from I have 2 copies of this book, by the way. One of them like completely fell apart, and I had to get a new one. So pan has to do with opening, spreading, unfurling. It's an adjective. It means more like in totality. So there is this the King's Letter from here. It's used like all of their children. I think it was. I have it linked right here. Okay. Let's see. It says. Let's see, where are we? Could just read Elvish stuff and see what happens then. So they use like all of the daughters, Salathin, all of his daughters, Yonnathin, all of his sons. That's there. Are enira ennasvillanad veljun infine. So, and he desires there to greet his own friends in totality. Pan means like in totality, and you usually use it in the plural because you're usually talking about many things. So if you were not talking about all of them ever, but a complete group, you would use pan instead. And oth you would use for all of the things ever. Like when it's talking about all of Sam's sons, Samwise's sons, and all of Samwise's daughters. You know, there's a limited amount of them, but he's talking about all of them ever. That's a really loud motorcycle. Maybe I should close my window. So, was I able to answer your question, Grace? Do you have the sound turned on now? I can't tell. Maybe it's just for the chat. I'll just type it in anyways. So means us is a collective plural meaning all of the fill in the blank bird. Let's see if I can remember the exact lines from that poem. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to continue translating this poem. I have translated the first two stanzas. And this will be interesting because I have to do a little bit of research and like a little bit of detective work, and I'll show you how that happens. How far along are you on your studies? I always end up hitting an extra letter. Okay, I usually prefer writing in pen. It doesn't have the scritchy noises. So that's what I use, even though it makes it harder to, erase and go back. But then I just you can see here, lots of lines scratched out, words scratched out. That's how it goes. So I will mark the old page that I was working on that I managed to fill with other things. And then, so if I need to go back and revisit a thing that I was translating. So I already did the first two stanzas. I use this notebook for everything. Oh, there's a wonderful breeze coming from the window. It's going to be hot today, like really hot, I can tell. So, sing we now softly and let us weave him. So let's sing. We sing now softly. So Ninab he my are see, the word for weave is reconstructed. I believe it's guir, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to mark that with an asterisk. So weave. The book at the end there is first person plural inclusive. So it includes the person who's listening to you speak. So this person in the song, the person seems to be encouraging you to join them in these activities. So I'm using the inclusive we. And let us. let us, like, I'm not translating this literally, like, allow us to weave, because here let is more like the, almost like a command, like, let's do this together. But Sindarin doesn't really seem to have a way to do that for the for that sort of form. So I'm just saying we do this. Sometimes I use we, like, agree to do this, or we are feeling affinity towards doing this. And that's with the suffix atha. Let's see. Linathab himai we rafab. And dreams let us weave him. So the him here is dative for him. That's what you're doing the dream weaving for. So we weave elu. Elu is the plural of ol, which is the word for dreams. Yeah. So then for him, Sindarin third person singular is gender neutral. So I can say him or her, and it's the same word. Yay! So far, I haven't had to do much looking up on this one. Wind him in slumber, and there let us weave him. Oh, that's a difficult one. Let's see, was I starting on something here? Oh, that's right. They want it in the exilic dialect, so, or not the exilic, the Wood Elven dialect. I need to remember to include that. Okay. That means I's turn into E's. Okay, so the way we're going to have to deal with this is get out my phone. Usually I'm doing this when I'm at conventions, when I'm dependent on my phone to get things done. So I will pull up Eldamo. Eldamo.org is really good resource for when you need to reconstruct a word. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how you can reconstruct a word. So I've got Eldamo. Let's see if I can make that easier to see. See, it's got all the words listed ever. And now I will see if I can find a word for to wind. Okay, so Eldamo's search system isn't very it's not a very intelligent search system. So if I type in wind, it's W-I-N-D, it's gonna think it's also wind. And it's also going to think that maybe I'm talking about any of these Elvish words, which have W-I-N-D in them. So I have to look a little bit through here and try to find one that's in the meaning and not the word. So wind, that's wind. That's a window. Oh, here we go. In early Quenya, the word lap, to wrap, swathe, or wind. That is a really good source. So just turn it into, Sindarinize it, and that would be lab. So sometimes you can find really easy ones like that. But I'll need to write down the source of this. So I will start writing a little list down here at the bottom. Lab. This is a verb from early Quenya. Lap. All right. So wind him in slumber. We use the command forms, or command form, so it's labo, den, and then I use na for the instrumental, or nan for the instrumental. It means like something is a feature of something and of something else. So like you could say that there is a mountain with trees on it. That's where you would use nan. Oh, you read my book. This is my book. And completed it. Yeah, mutations are really, really hard. So here, I'll show you my list of mutations. Just Superman. Okay, here we go. My little pen. I just print it all out and I keep it by my computer. I have most of the mutations memorized, just because I've been doing this for 16 years. But not all of them. I sometimes need to remind myself, especially with the more obscure ones like DH mutation or H mutation. Stop mutation, sometimes liquid mutations, sometimes we'll get it mixed up with a different type of mutation. Most of the times, I have it memorized. But I could definitely see, the Gondorian saying, half this chart we don't need. It's going to be vocalic mutation from now on. Very, very understandable. So, we're wrapping him. In slumber. So the word for slumber, it's from Noldorin, but we can pretty safely import it into Sindarin. There's no phonetic problems there. So that word is lur. So na, lur. The nan loses its final N from nasal mutation. So na lur instead of non lur. So this implies that slumber is in our hands as we rap. Thus, ta-da. At least we have a little bit of instrumental. And there let us leave him. Ar. Wait. I don't think they would use ar. See, these are supposed to be wood elves, so they would use ah instead. So, ennas. Ennas means there or yonder, over there. You can't use it for there is a book or something like that. You can't use it to say that something exists. But you can use it to say that something exists over there, yonder. So, ennas. There isn't really a word for believe or for leave in Sindarin. Not transitive anyway. There's words that are intransitive for leaving, like men, which means like to go, but that's not really the same as leave. So instead, I'll say to go from him. If that makes sense. And there we go from him. Apparently, all of these lines end with exclamation points. That's fun. Hello, Darbari. I am translating stuff into Sindarin. Maybe Quenya, if people ask me to. Okay, Grace has another question. Sorry to keep bothering you, but is the mutation that follows a noun always lenition, or depend on the final letter of the noun, thus causing like nasal or liquid mutation, etc.? No need to apologize. I just want to talk about Elvish for a while, so not a problem. So nouns, like I think you're talking about when an adjective follows a noun, correct? Oh, Grace can't hear me. So I will type and write at the same time. Oh, you can hear me now. Maybe? Okay, I will type it at the same time anyways, so that you have a better recollection of it. So if you have an adjective directly modifying a noun, okay, you can hear me now. Then I don't need to type it out. Okay, so when you have an adjective directly modifying a noun, then you have to use lenition, which is used for most grammatical mutations. So it's more like a marker on certain words to say that this word is subordinate to this word, which is why the direct object of a verb is usually mutated, and a adjective, which is modifying a noun, is mutated. When you have the words following the word the, they're not being subordinate. That's actually just based on phonetics. I understand Doctor Who is a great show, so don't worry, guys. So Darbari is talking about his conlang, it looks like. Cool. I also did a little bit of conlanging. I still have a notebook. Like, not a notebook, it's more like a folder. Started that as a notebook. And it is full of my early high school age conlanging stuff. So I still have the dictionary that I made. And it's written using this alternative phonetic script that I made for English because I hated spelling. And it's got grammar, and I started like sketching out a pictograph writing system. As well as a sound-based writing system, as you can see here. Yeah. Good times. And I've also done work on Thalassian, and so, yeah. Conlanging, lots of fun. Highly recommend. Okay, that notebook's put away. So I'm going to go back to translating. So many notebooks crammed full of translations and random tangwar to take to school to dawdle and write in. Yeah. Yep. Yep, that was me. Yep. One thing that I did, because I wanted to write in code, I reassigned all the values of the tangwar to values in my in the phonetic script that I made for English, and like just one-to-one transferal, and that was fun. That worked pretty well. Nobody could read it. I made little note cards for my friends so that they could read it. But yeah. When I was a kid, because we didn't really have very good like language instruction, we didn't know the International Phonetic Alphabet. All we had was stuff like used in American English dictionaries. And those, great for English, not so great for anything else. I also found it misleading because things like I is a diphthong, it's not a vowel, and you would write it with the I with a long marker at the top of it, which, makes sense historically because of the Great Vowel Shift, but it doesn't make sense phonetically, which is what I had a problem with. So yeah, I made my own phonetic script. And you use Arabic for writing yours. Mine was mostly based off of the English alphabet. I just made some new symbols for myself. And I reassigned some symbols too. Like the C became a ch instead of a C because you could replace C's with K's or S's. I made a symbol looked like this. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. I made a symbol that looked like this for the ing sound. Because, it's very clear to me that there was another consonant there that wasn't properly represented. And this was before I had any formal linguistic training. So my alphabet was not perfect in any stretch of the word. But, it amused me. Oh, you saw my video on being autistic. If you think that you might be autistic, finding out is actually a pretty good thing, I think. Um, yeah, it gives me permission to do things like I can't hear when people are talking at the same time. So, like it gives me permission to stop people and say, wait, I can't understand what you're saying. Let's move somewhere quieter so I can hear you. There's like nothing wrong with my hearing. I just can't process multiple sounds at the same time. And I have a really hard time filtering. Darbari asks where I'm from. I'm from Montana in the US. It's mostly rural. We have a very small population here. Lots and lots of wide open space and lots of very pretty scenery. It's a really gorgeous place to live. The weather, though, can be a little bit tough. So, also, we have an extra season here in Montana. Wow, Arkansas, that's pretty far away. Montana is the third biggest state in the U.S. with the fourth smallest population. That gives you an idea of just how few people there are here. Yeah, I have hypersensitivity to loud or high-pitched noises. Means that alarms are really effective on me because I really hate them. But it also means that if I have to deal with a lot of alarms, like when I was working at McDonald's as a teenager, it just drove me insane. I was jumping out of my skin every single time one of those little beepers for like the fries were done or the meat was done cooking or something. Like those beepers just drove me insane. Oh gosh, yeah. Definitely makes you want to flee the sound of a smoke alarm. Get the hell out of there as fast as possible. Yeah. I prefer, like when I'm watching videos on YouTube, I prefer ones that have very little in the way of background noise or background music. I actually prefer it if they don't have background music for that reason. Oh, Darwari wants to share his alphabet with me. You said it's based on Arabic, right? I do have an Instagram account, but I don't really use it. I'm just not a very avid taker of pictures. And definitely not pretty pictures because my cell phone is an ancient piece of crap. So it's not like, speaking of which, I need to plug this poor thing back in or else it dies. So, like, I do like photography, but I have to actually get out with my old digital camera in order to be able to take pictures, which isn't very often these days. I have a website, realelvish.net. There's contact forms on there. You can send me stuff that way. I also suggest getting a free Google It's their folder file sharing thing. What's it called? So yes, you can. The website has a contact form, and we can get in touch that way. Yeah. Google Drive. Yes, Google Drive. Yeah, you can just share with me the Google Drive link to your alphabet. And that would be cool. I love reading up on people's conlangs. I'm part of a Facebook group devoted to just like sharing conlangs and stuff. Yeah, I also love pictures of trees and nature and flowers and that sort of thing. Like there's a picture of my head. It's pretty much what it is. There. In Montana, we have a season called the fire season. And it's basically where from late July through August, September, sometimes all the way up through October until the snow starts falling, the forests are burning. And the city I live in, it's not a city like to most of the world. It's a pretty small town. But we live in this valley that used to be where the gigantic glacial lake was, which means it's shaped kind of like a bowl. And that means that all of the smoke that comes into the valley stays in the valley. It doesn't go away until it rains. So, and it almost never rains in late July, August, September. It usually starts raining a little bit in October, and that's when it starts decreasing. But some years, it can be really bad. So, yeah, we have really distinct seasons. Right now, it is very clearly summer. It's going to get pretty hot today, and I'll probably retreat to the basement. Montana houses are usually built for warmth, not cooling things down. They almost never have any air conditioning. Heating systems, no air conditioning. Okay, so I got really distracted, and I'm trying to translate this poem, which I've gotten two lines more in. It's, a little bit almost halfway completed. So, the wanderer sleepeth. Now soft be his pillow. Luckily, the English word for wanderer is genderless, but we're going to have to add a gender to make it make sense. So, the grandir is a word for wanderer. And then the word for sleep is lor. That is borrowed from Noldorin again, just like the word for slumber. But, yeah. But it works in Sindarin phonology, and we can justify it. So borrowing that one's pretty easy. Lincolnshire. That sounds like it's in England because it's got a shire in it. Now soft be his pillow. See. Oh. The. Now this is supposed to be like a command or a wish, so may his pillow be soft is how I'll translate it. Haha, I was right. You're in England. Northish, eastish. Well, I am a northish, okay, just straight up northwest-ish U.S. If you look at Montana, we're like half of the state is in the Great Plains. And then the part that looks like a face, that part's all mountains. So Montana, it's named after its mountains, but it's actually half Great Plains, half mountains. And it's really kind of like 2/3 across the country if you're going from east to west. Okay, so we're making a wish. Okay. Now soft be his pillow. We're wishing that his pillow is soft, so use the word no, which means may it be. So now may it be the the word for pillow is peseg, so we need to mutate the word, so it becomes beseg. And then Dean, his. Don't worry about your geography not being good. I do not have the cities of or shires of England memorized by any stretch of the imagination. So, no worries. And yep, this ends in another exclamation point. Lullaby, lullaby, alder and willow. Now, the word I made for lullaby is basically little song. So, glírig, I believe is the word I was using. Glírig. Glírig. Alder and willow. Trying to remember if there's a specific word for alder trees. Willow, yes, that's tathar. Oh, another question. Is Nimlothiel the name I tend to use on Tolkien sites a goodish translation of my first name, Jasmine? Or does it translate to literally as daughter rather than just feminine? Yel, sometimes used as a general feminine suffix, but often the general feminine suffixes and also general masculine suffixes were used to indicate patronymics. So if you had, that's a name based on a parent's name. So usually, like for more personal names that were meaningful for the person carrying them, and for nicknames as well, they would be a compound word, like two words joined together. Like Legolas means green foliage. Leg is Wood Elven for green. And then Golas is foliage, so green foliage. Aragorn means revered king. Thranduil means vigorous spring. Oh, I wasn't talking about your use of exclamation points. I was talking about the song that I'm trying to translate, almost every line ends with an exclamation point. Which is what I was commenting on. Not you, sorry. Nimloth. Nimloth means white flower or trembling flower. Nim means pallid or white or like trembling white with fear. See, is jasmine a white flower? Need to look that up. I will find out. Jasmine. I know there isn't exactly a perfect translation of jasmine. Oh, it is a white flower, so I guess it's all right. I think Nimloth, though, is it is a specific species of flowers, though, in Sindarin. There's it's similar to the Nithregil, which I think is the equivalent to snowdrops, like spring snowdrops, because they're tiny little white flowers that pop up in spring. So, Nimloth, perfectly acceptable way to translate jasmine. There are several words for white that you can use. Some of them are based on white as clouds, which is fine. There's glan, which means like bright. See. There's gloss. Is it gloss or is it los? I always get those two mixed up, but it's based on the word for snow. It's like snow white. So. Glan has several different connotations. Yeah, it's like a bright, shining white, a clear white. You might prefer that word. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different words for white, and they have a bunch of different connotations. One word for white is fine. It's based off of the word for a glimmering, like an image or a vision. So that's another good one. But for flowers, gosh, any of those could work really well. No problem. This is how I have fun. That's right. I was looking up the word alder and seeing if there is okay. A-L-D-E-R. Looks like there's word from Quenya, early Quenya, but I don't know if it's really usable. That'll be a puzzle. What did I use when I was translating this into Quenya? Yeah, I used Bolonda. So I guess I could use long. 2. And I will mark this word also in my list. It's a noun, means alder, tree, from an early Quenya. Polonde. Looks like it's connected to the word for strength, which makes sense. Yeah, trees are strong. Polonde. Dathar. Tathar is the word for willow, so I have to mutate it, following the word and becomes dathar. All right, let's see all 4 lines that I've managed to translate. We've got Ninab hi me wirib elu athen labodenan lur hennas meni bothen irandielor si nove I beseg din glirig polonadathar. It almost rhymes, but it's just rhyming the same word with itself. Oh, I will do a little bit of cleaning up on this poem later to try to make things rhyme or sound a little bit better. Because this is supposed to be, I think, a song, like sung. Linab hi my wirib elu athen. And the rhythm is not very good. Labo den na lur hen nas meni. Oh, then. Yeah, not perfect. Yeah, I love being able to make poems rhyme and stuff. It's just so incredibly gratifying when you figure out, I could make it fit together this way. It's just so much fun. Sigh no more, pine, till the wind of the morn. Luckily, I have come up with a word for sigh. In Sindarin, it's muya. And actually, that's the word that I based my word for my cat on. The name of my cat on. That's muyor. So I can say avo vuyo. Thon. Thon is the word for pine or a pine tree. I should just write this down so I don't forget. Wheel. Thon. See. I made a word for, or I didn't actually make this word, but somebody on one of my forums did. That was aden for until. I'll include, so till the wind of the morn. Till here, they misspelled it. So, aden. The word for wind is sul, so I mutate it and turn it into hul. Yeah, that was more of a problem when I was first starting out, but now I can pretty much translate like in that language first. That's how I translated this little poem that I wrote for Elverond. Olas min o house. That means I dreamt about war. Okay. Wind of morning. So minuia is morning. Mi nui al. Ihul minuia. Haha. First line was nice and easy. Hopefully the next one will be. So next line is fall moon, dark be the land. So word for fall is danna. So in the imperative, it becomes danno ithil no forn I nor. Dark be the land. Oh, wow, this part is nice and easy. Then it says hush, hush. So since it's supposed to be a single word utterance instead of a like a phrase, yeah, you do have to start somewhere. And my early stuff, believe me, was really bad. Yeah. When I started out, there wasn't much in the way of resources for people who didn't have linguistics degrees already. So if you wanted to learn the grammar, you had to already know linguistics and understand that terminology, and I didn't. I mean, Artalambion is an incredible website, and I love it, but it is not friendly if you don't know linguistics already. It is not easy to understand. And, I tried my best when I was young, but I did eventually get a linguistics degree, and that helped a lot. Do I have dictionaries on my website? I usually leave the dictionaries for other people to handle. I usually work on phrase books and name lists. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sending me your writing system. My mom actually studied Arabic in school. So I'll be fun. I will show it to her, and we'll see if she'll be able to decipher things. Because I've learned several writing systems, forgotten several writing systems, but Arabic wasn't one of them. So I guess there's always time to start, though. Okay, so yeah. But all languages, like all natural human languages, are systematic and decipherable. So, and understandable. I mean, they're not purely systematic. There's always exceptions and such. But yeah, it would be understandable. I believe the way you would say Sindarin is hard is Edelen Gorn or Dorn, depends. Dir, is it Dur? I forget. Oh well. Yeah, no, Dur I think is mistaken or Like, oops. Yeah, that's mistaken. Dear, I think, is difficult for lack of trying. Like, you're not putting enough effort into something to actually understand it. Yeah. Wow. Need to go back. Here we go. Okay. For lullaby, you've been using Olair, dream song. That's a poetic way to approach it. I would do it just a little bit differently here. I'll type it. Olair. When vowels in Sindarin reduce, some vowels reduce only partially, like U, E, U, they reduce partially. But vowels like O, E, and A, they reduce all the way. So the O of dream, I would reduce all the way. There's another way you could approach though. The word for dream comes from the ancient word olos, and that became an olo, became an H at the end of the word. The H disappeared, you get the word olo. The ancient word for, or an archaic word for dream is olo, which is why the plural for a Sindarin word for dream is elu instead of ul. So you could also make it ololair, like that. Just thinking, words for birds often have the word leaned at the end of them. Leaned meaning singer sometimes in that particular context. So we've got Merilin. The word for nightingale is black or night. Word for blackness is also sometimes used as a word for night, combined with leaned. So Merilin. It's a pretty word for a nightingale. There's several words for song. There's leaned, there's glir, and there's glair. Interesting. You have masculine and feminine first person singular. Is that what I'm reading there? No, it's not my dog. I'm allergic to dogs, but my neighbors have dogs. Dropping things. Fairly active street, so this person sounds kind of like boku, watashi, atashi. Like Aladdin. There we go. It's interesting how we combine little bits of languages that we know to make things more interesting. You want to see my conlang folder again? Ta-da! What did you want to see in it? we go. This is my phonetic English alphabet. I added a dash to the top of the A for one, and I turned capital E into a box for another one. Yeah. The Dark King. It's a good name for a cat. Let's see, how many symbols did my writing system have? $35. My phonetic writing system for English had 35 letters in it. Quite a bit more than the system we have now. A cat, I think, is sleeping. I could run off and try to find her, but I'm back. Stop falling. This is like conjugating verbs. So as you can see, these used to be in a notebook, and then the notebook fell apart. So I just cut off the binder part and turned it into there we go. I have a list of verb tenses. My handwriting was so neat when I was younger. Just sort of give it up now. Rest chi, to grow, swell, or get bigger. Panger, to run, go fast. Or catch, to hunger, to be hungry. Catch, to thirst, be thirsty. So starting to develop things like, I could make words related to each other. That was fun. These are just word lists that I started coming up with. And little phrases. I wasn't terribly organized. Oh, here's the counting system I came up with. I had so much fun with this. So it's base 20 counting system. You literally count on your fingers and your toes. So the word for one is your left hand thumb, ku. Word for two is your first finger. 3 is your middle finger. And then 4 is your ring finger, that. And then 5 is your pinky. And then right hand, pinky. So like your hands are like this. And then you could do this. And then when you flip them over, it's your feet instead. And then It's sort of like a sign language up to 20. So like the word 401 is left hand, first finger, adjective suffix, body, left hand, thumb. So that was fun. Abare echor aku. Yep. Most of my conlang stuff isn't online though. Because, when I was a teenager, my conlanging efforts weren't very good because I didn't have a full understanding of phonetics and phonology. So most of the sounds included were just sounds in English sort of remixed. Okay. So let's see if we can finish this last line of the poem. Or not last line, second to last line, and then the last line. Let's see if this works. So, for hush, hush, I use the word, Neo-Elvish word, pel, means still or quiet. So, nobel would be quiet, be quiet. But since this is supposed to be like a single word utterance, instead of saying nobel, I'll just have it pel, like that. I believe doron is word for oak. So pel, doron, ash. I'm always forgetting that one. Ash tree. Is it lalvorn? Forget. Okay. And of course, when I search for the word ash, I immediately get like the words for one because it's ash in black speak. And the word for like dusty ash, which is leith. Ash tree not a word? And it isn't. Oh my gosh. I've forgotten this. That would be why I couldn't find it. Yep, that would be why. There we go. Favorite word in Sindarin? There's a lot of words I like. Some words I like because they're useful. Some words I like because they sound pretty. There was one word I was having to work with a lot that I thought was interesting. Don't worry, it goes back pretty nice and far. It's very comfy. Venen. That is a pretty nice one. Oh. I like the word alagos. for windstorm. Correct. You got it right. Avodano. Or avodano. There we go. Missed the double N. So, how will I translate ash? I'll just use elm trees. It's not the same though. Okay, what does an ash tree look like? Let's look up pictures of ash trees. I'm yawning. Okay. So it's another one of those like really big trees. Here we go. Okay, elms do actually look quite similar. Not the same though. And I think it kind of breaks the symbology that they're going for in the poem. So how shall we translate ash tree? Let's look at what ash tree meant in Old English. Eru Iluvatar means the one father of all. There's been actually a lot of discussion amongst this, especially with no worry, it's just water. With Christian Tolkien fans, they don't want to use the name of Eru Iluvatar for God. There doesn't seem to be really a word for God in Tolkien's creation. Usually what people use is a holy one for God. So they take the word, the adjective aina, which is Quenya for holy, and make it Aino or Aine for Aino for male gods, Aine for female gods, and if it's just a plurality of gods, Ainar, like that. In Montana, it's just 1:30. So. Nice, bright, and sunny. The heat of the day is starting up. But luckily in my house, it's still nice and cool. Oh, the mail is here. That car is the mail. It's definitely PM. If it was AM, this would be dark. So yeah, definitely PM. It's just past noon, really. This is a great book, by the way. It's Oxford English Dictionary of English Etymology. Very, very handy book. I live in the northwestern corner of Montana. Looks like it's a branch off right for beech trees, which is interesting. It looks like it's just an ancient name for it. I guess I could just call it a fair, which would be, whoop. Wrong thing. Missoula, Montana. That's the city I'm in. Yeah, it is pretty. I believe that this book was mistakenly originally given to my little brother. But, of course, he wasn't interested in it. But I love this sort of thing, so I nabbed it. Well, there is a word for beach in Sindarin. It is fair. So I'll use fair in my translation. And thorn, a thorn is erig. Oh, hi, Andrew. Well, when I was 15, I was really bored. This was 2001, 2002, and the Lord of the Rings movies had just come out. I was certain to read the Lord of the Rings before the movies came out. And I was a freshman in high school. I was super bored. None of the classes were challenging. Like in middle school, I'd been taking the advanced classes. And in high school, what they did instead of having advanced classes, they just put the younger students in with the older students who struggle with the material, which meant that they were slowing us down. So I was horribly bored, even though I was in the advanced math and English lessons. So instead, I filled my time with becoming completely obsessed with Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. You know what? I know somebody who did a lot of botanical related words. Let's see, I think they post their words on Vinquetaparma. I think they're in Norway. They're Norwegian. And they are a biologist and a forester. So they know lots of excellent stuff about trees and species of animals and such in the forest. So they came up with a whole bunch of wonderful words for the word for botanical things. So I'm going to go look up and see if they have a word for ash. Because I should probably go by what they use. Oops, that's the wrong page. Vin Quetaparma, by the way, is an excellent website. It lists fan-made words. Here, I'll give you a little link here in the comments. Nope, no word for Ash. Okay. I'll ask them about it later. Hjalmar, I think is what their name is. So I will just make a circle that word and we can figure that one out with them later. So when I was starting my studies on Tolkien's languages, what I did, I read the, like, over and over and over again, the appendix on languages. Here we go. It's like all marked up. So I read the index on languages first, really carefully. Then I went to this. This is a first edition copy of the Silmarillion that my dad had, and I stole. My mom gave it to him. So, by the way, Tolkien nerddom is genetic in my family. So my mom gave this book to my dad for like his birthday in high school. So it is now mine. But in the back of the Silmarillion, after the lists of names, there is this wonderful thing, appendix, elements in Quenya and Sindarin names. And for a while, I just religiously used this. I had no idea about the other material. But somebody on a forum said, hey, did you know that there's a whole lot more material out there? There's like 60 books that you need to get. If you're serious about this, as you say, you need to get into this other stuff. So I was like, okay. And then for the next like 4 or 5 years, what I did, show you my collection of books. Ta-da! I basically just asked every Christmas, every birthday, and said, instead of giving me like presents, just give me gift certificates to Barnes and Noble and Borders, like the big, massive chain bookstores, because this was before Amazon was really a thing. Now I feel old. So I just asked for lots of gift cards for bookstores, and slowly over the years built up my collection. Oh, by the way, this also first edition, also like my parents gave it to each other. So that's why I have this one. This also was just in my parents' collection, as well as I absconded with their copy of The Hobbit. And I literally kind of accidentally completely destroyed their copy of Lord of the Rings. It was also the same edition as this, with the same beautiful covers. But I loved, like, I reread them so much, they just fell apart because they were ancient paperbacks. So, as I did that, I finally got my hands on this. And then my ability and knowledge on Tolkien's languages just exploded because I finally had a lot of the source of a lot of our knowledge. And as you can see, this book I used up. I used it so much that it's just falling apart. Especially when it comes to the etymology. And you can see that I was like retaping pages on there. And then I just had to give up. The poor thing fell apart. Somebody also gave me a copy of The Hobbit in French because I was studying French in high school. So, Bilbo le Hobbit. Oh, this is another thing that my parents had hanging around. And I nabbed. I don't use this for a reference very often anymore. But for a while there, I read through this as much as possible. And this book, it's also pretty worn down, but I love the poetry in here. I like reading poetry that is like tells a story, and this definitely does. See, do I have my copy of Beowulf up here, or did I put it downstairs? Yeah, I put that downstairs. Oh well. Yeah. So yeah, that's a tour of my Tolkien bookshelf, and I just acquired these bit by bit. Took me a long time. This book was given to me by a roommate of mine. She was a nice girl, but she ended up leaving college. So, and I've lost contact with her. But she saw my gigantic wall of Tolkien books that I had carefully arranged by my computer and was like, I know what to get you for Christmas. Most of these, though, I bought with gift certificates and such. So, yeah. Asking, like, when you're a teenager or, you know, poor, like, I've been for most of my time as an adult, I just depend on people giving me gift cards for bookstores. So, yep. And I think that, like, other than getting a copy of The Lost Road and Other Writings, the thing that really improved my Elvish, because I was basically having to relearn it from start to finish. And I had to investigate everything that everybody was posting, like all the articles I was finding and such. Like, I had a hard time understanding them because I didn't have linguistic training yet. So I basically go back and read the source material and try to make sense of that. And then back and forth and back and forth. But, you know, my first introduction to linguistics course, I think, made a huge, huge difference. Do I have my old Introduction to Linguistics textbook? It might be downstairs. I put books that I don't use very often downstairs. Well, this is one of the early linguistics classes I took. This is like a handmade linguistics textbook by one of my professors. And this is great. This has been like the inspiration for how I made my book. I structured it pretty similarly because I found this really, really helpful. This book, at the end of, like, it's the text, you know, there's no gigantic blocks of text. And at the end of every lesson, see if I can find one of them. There is worksheets, basically forcing you to practice what you just learned. And I found that incredibly helpful and very useful. So I worked that in. Yep. English tenses are fun. I did a lot of tutoring of exchange students in college, and one of my favorite things for just blowing their minds was showing them compound tenses in English. So the mouse was going to have been eaten by the rat. It makes sense. It makes sense in English. See, what is that? Passive, future, perfect, yeah, that's still passive. Yeah, that's like 3 layers. The mouse was... Oh, no. Okay. So the mouse was going, or was-ing. That's the continual progressive tense. Was going, that part, future, to have been. That's perfect. Been eaten is passive. So that's 4 tenses on top of each other. I don't know if I've ever combined more than that on top of each other. So one of my favorite things about this book. This is one of the fanzines that became a source of Tolkien's notes on his languages. This lists some of the compound tenses that Tolkien was considering for Quenya. He didn't keep a lot of them. Some of them we do still use, but a lot of them are no longer included. But just wonderful stuff in here. I just love being able to get that much more nuance into translations. The ability to be able to do something. Sindarin doesn't seem to really have a word for to be able to do something or to can do something. Noldarin had a word. I was gar, connected to having or holding something. But I think it was also used as a word for possess, like possessing something. So, pole is a word that is taken from Quenya. It means like having the strength to do something. Quenya actually has a bunch of new words, like there's ler, which means to be free to do something. Ista is sometimes used for to know how to do something. So those are the ones I'm remembering off the top of my head. But yeah. Mostly we just borrow straight from Quenya. We don't usually use ler because we don't have a cognate for it in Sindarin. We don't know if it's what the root word for it is. The problem is that L and R have a lot of different sources in Quenya that would be completely different in Sindarin. So the L, it could be an L, it could be SL. In Quenya, often the voiceless L, voiceless R are lost. So in a lot of translations. So we don't know if Tolkien was losing it there or not. It could be a D, because in Quenya, word initial Ds became Ls. So that'd be a completely different Sindarin word. It could have an ancient G before it. If it's that, then it would be a gl instead of a l in Sindarin. And the R at the end, that could have also been a D, or it could have been an S, which means completely different sounding words in Sindarin. So, ler, he didn't give it to us with a ancient root, so we can't borrow it into Sindarin. Not easily. Not predictably, anyways. So, yeah, we just use pol and ista. Pol having the strength to do something, and using ista for having the knowledge to do something. Okay, the words for heart in Sindarin, there's actually a pretty easy way to think of it. Often the dictionary entries can be kind of confusing. So your gur is like the little inner voice that is your conscience. Conscience is a much more accurate translation for gur. Ind is connected to your will, your intent. So if you're saying that you're guran bedeni, which means my heart tells me, what you're actually saying is my conscience is telling me to do something. That's what that means. And then if you're saying indavim, which means there's an intent, a will inside me. That means this is my intent to do this, or fill in the blank. And then hun is just like your, it's just your physical heart. There's another word for heart. It's just your center. It's your ened, like the center of your body. Or the center of a random thing. Like you could say, if you're saying something like the heart of the matter, you would probably use ened instead. So yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when I get translation requests for things like my heart will go on. It's like, okay, what does this mean? I think often what the person means when they say heart, what they actually mean is soul or spirit. So my heart will go on, my spirit will go on, I think is what they're trying to say. So you have to, and heart in there is often used poetically and such. So you have to kind of cut through those difficulties. So, or that difficulty translating. Okay. It's coming on 2 hours. Let's see if I can translate the last line of this poem. Okay. The last line is, hushed be all water till dawn is at hand. Oh, wrong word for till again. This till is like the till that you use in the field to till your crops. It's a common mistake, though. I I think I've even seen it in like novels and stuff. Okay, so hushed be all water. So they're wishing all the water is hushed. So no bel y nena. Yeah, all water everywhere be hushed. Then until dawn is at hand. Okay. At hand means it's like almost here, ready to come to you. So I think I'll use the verb anglena to approach. So until anglena minui of. There, I rhymed another word with itself. All right, this poem will take a little bit of retooling, obviously, so I can make it rhyme. But here, I will read an Elvish poem to you guys that I just translated. Actually, I started translating weeks ago, and then I got sick. Had to go to the hospital, leave the convention I was working at, and go home. Which was not fun, by the way. Not at all. So, Liro glasuiath, si go liro, ihul min kolas, ihul min halch, in elin mi dwiu, ithil mi luth, a cheler I chenith, du min paradim. Liltho glasuiath, sigo liltho, me I salch. No, is it me I halch? Forgot to mutate something. Oops. Ano hui bestal. Idwin keleben ingwaith dreg. Oh, dreg here today. Stuff from there. Meren ethwil veren I ovaded win. What means dream in conlanging Sindarin? It's also a word for a vision, like a vision that you're sent. Elves believe that dreams are visions sent to you by Irmo, the Vala of dreams. Oh, and now we go to the second half. Linabhi me wireb eluathen, laboden na lur ahenas meni bothen. Irandir lor, sino ve I beseg din, glirig, volon adathar, afoviothon aden I hul eminuial. Dan no ithil, no voren in nor, pel, doron fer hereg, no bel nenath, aden anglena minvial. See. Yee. Okay, can I write the words for dream? In Quenya, the word for dream is color. In Sindarin, it's ol. I must leave. Yes, that is correct. Voy mened. Sorry. Have good luck on your math test. Noisy. Have fun with your conlang. Okay. And good luck with your math test. So I've completed the poem. My voice is getting scratchy, and it's getting warm in here. So, if you want me to do more of these sorts of things where I just, hang out and translate stuff, let me know, and I'll do more of these, I think. This isn't near as stressful as I worried it would be. So, to remind everybody, I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign for free Neo-Sindarin lessons. Let me grab the link again for you. Please help support it, either by donating or just share the link with everybody. Let everybody know. Because I'm trying to fund the free content on my website, and a lot of it needs repair and work, and I can't do that and do a part-time job at the same time. So, okay, I will save the video if I can figure it out. This is my first time doing one of these things, so no promises that I will know exactly what to do, but I hope I work it out properly. So thank you for hanging out with me. This was funner than I worried it was going to be. So, Namarie.